Hello, I need some help and I need it fast. I, 45 male, am a father of one. My son Leo just turned 18 a few months ago. After he turned 18, things have been tense in my house because of my wife, Ali, 41, female. I should include some background here so that you guys don't get confused about the stuff I'm about to tell you. Ali is my second wife. My first wife was my high school sweetheart who passed away 4 years ago in a car accident. She was on her way to pick up Leo because he had been stranded at a gas station before a snowstorm. I was stuck at work, so my late wife was the only one who could get my son back home. She knew the risks before she got into the car. There was literally no alternative. I won't get into too many details, but the accident happened when they were coming back home. My son was lucky enough to walk away with a broken leg and some scratches. My late wife passed away 2 days after the accident. I can't begin to tell you what a horrible time it was for all of us. My son was a mess and was close to landing in a psych ward. He was going crazy with grief and firmly believed that he was the reason his mother died. It took him a whole year to feel a little normal again. He's still going to therapy and hasn't been able to get over his mom's death entirely. I had a hard time dealing with things, but I was able to move on with Ali. We started to date a year and a half after my late wife passed away. We dated for 2 years before I popped the question to her. Planned a wedding for another year, and now we have been married for 10 months. I won't complain about my own marital life. It's been pretty decent on that front. But there have been problems between Leo and Ali for a while now. I don't think they ever had a good relationship. I had talked to my son before proposing to Ali. I wanted to know if he was comfortable having a stepmother at that moment. Leo told me that he wants me to be happy, but in no way does he want a mom or something close to a mother. He's sensitive about his mother and doesn't want anyone to replace her or to take her place. We had a long talk and I assured him that Ali would never try to parent him or be his mother. We would all be living together and I would do all of the parenting. My son was about to turn 17 back then, and he is a good kid. I knew he wouldn't create trouble, and when I talked to Ali about all this, she seemed a little miffed but said that she respected our boundaries. I really thought that everything would be fine, but problems started when Ali moved in with us 6 months before we got married. Ali tried to step over all our boundaries and often tried to parent my son for no apparent reason. She had this ridiculous notion that all teens are trouble. So she had a habit of grounding Leo and accusing him of doing drugs and all. She would always yell at him about small things and try to punish him without consulting me. We have had multiple talks about Ali's behavior, but she always dismisses me and ignores what I say. She also tried to regularly ground him even after he didn't do anything wrong. I will also set the record straight right here and tell you guys that my son never bothers Ali. Ali never came with complaints about that either. My son rarely interacts with her and stays in his own room or with his friends. He also does his assigned chores around the house without any complaint. Ali doesn't appreciate any of this. She's always criticizing Leo and grounding him so that he wouldn't go out with his friend. Tensions were always high in the house, and I did my best to deal with the situation, but everything came to a head a few days ago. My son turned 18 2 months ago, and since then, my wife has been acting really odd. She has become even more critical of Leo and is constantly calling him lazy, useless, and a moocher, among other things. For the last few weeks, she had been hinting that Leo needs to be more responsible and needs to step up since he is an adult now. I've been telling Ali to stop harassing him because his finals are close and I don't want anything messing up his grades. But my wife wasn't ready to understand my reasoning. I don't even know why she has been so sure about my son being useless and irresponsible in the future. Anyway, I talked to my wife and thought that I had settled things, but instead of listening to me, she went and told my son that he needed to start paying rent since he was already 18. She also told him some crappy stuff about how she doesn't want a moocher in her house. Leo and Ali had a big argument, after which Leo told her that she should be the one paying rent since he owned the house. Ali didn't believe him and asked me when I came home from work. I was already pissed off at her for going behind my back and asking Leo for rent, so I ended up yelling at Ali a little and confirmed that Leo does indeed own the house. Things have been really tense since then. Leo has made it clear that Ali needs to pay rent. My wife is now mad that I didn't take her side and didn't tell Leo off for asking her for rent. She's also complaining about how I have been rude and unsupportive. She has been telling me that I should convince Leo not to charge her rent and make him apologize for suggesting it in the first place. I refuse both of her demands, so she's giving me the cold shoulder right now. I'm going crazy with the tension in the house. I think my stance is right, but I would like a neutral opinion on this. Edit. There are some assumptions being made, and I feel I need to address these right now. First of all, the house actually belonged to my late wife's parents. They were the owners of the house and let me and Leo stay rent-free so that I could raise Leo in a stable home. They had transferred the deed of the house to Leo only a month ago, since he's already 18 now, and came to have the house in his name. I've never told my wife that I own the house. She actually knows that my late wife's parents own the place. I distinctly remember telling her that. I don't know if she has really forgotten it or is faking forgetting it. Maybe she thought that I would eventually buy the house from them, or maybe they would give it to me just out of goodwill. The second theory is super absurd because I don't think anyone would do that. No matter what her reasoning was, I don't think it was fair for her to start demanding rent from my son when she had no claim over the house. Some of you have been telling me that I should be a little sympathetic about my wife because she was caught in a bad situation and had been embarrassed. Well, I may have been more sympathetic if she had discussed things with me first. I have no idea why she thought she had the authority to go over my head and parent my child. I think that's what's bothering me even more. She had never stopped crossing boundaries and had repeatedly caused problems due to her unwarranted and unwanted parenting. I knew my son had been hesitant about having a stepmother. That's why I had made it clear that she cannot parent my son unless he does something that directly affects her. She, of course, always has an excuse about why she was parenting my son. I could tell that Leo wasn't having a good time at home because of my wife, but he tolerated her because of me. Now I wish I had talked to Ali sooner and put a stop to this nonsense. Update 1. Thank you so much for helping me understand that I am NTA. I have received a few YTA and ESH votes, and most of you have voted NTA. I understand that it was a big shock for Ali that Leo owns the house we live in. If you read my edit, you will know that she had no reason to think that I own the house. The only delusions she was under were created by her own mind. I had made it crystal clear that I didn't own the house. I was broke after clearing out my late wife's medical bills and simply didn't have the money to buy a house. Whenever I had some savings, I always put it in towards my son's college. After I started dating Ali, I set aside some money for our future too. I was sure that we would have a good life together, so I started to save for our future too. I wasn't just looking after my son's wants, I was also saving for me and Ali. It was Ali who chose to spend the saved money on a wedding. I was ready to have a court wedding and just have a small party afterwards. But Ali insisted on having a wedding, since her first was a court marriage. I gave her exactly what she wanted. So sue me because I don't have the money to buy a house. Ali was well aware of my finances before she tied the knot with me. She only had to wait a month or so till my son went off to college. After that, I would have used the rest of my savings to make a down payment on an apartment. But no, she had to get out of her way to make trouble with my son. This is just plain ridiculous. There have been some comments about how Ali comes off as someone who sounds awfully entitled. I haven't thought that way before, but I think you guys are right about that. She grew up pretty spoiled since she was a single child. She does work, but doesn't make enough to give herself the life she wants. As for her last marriage, she just told me that her ex couldn't fulfill her wishes, so she had to leave. Now I'm thinking that maybe her wishes may not have been very reasonable to begin with. Anyway, after reading your comments, I decided to talk to my son one-on-one. I knew I had to do it, but frankly speaking, I was super embarrassed to face him. What Ali did was not only humiliating for her, but also for me. I was also kind of scared that Leo would think I had a part in this ridiculous rent idea that Ali had come up with. Still, you guys really encouraged me to go talk to my son. I actually talked to him this morning and it went well. He doesn't blame me for what Ali did. We made up, but had to talk about some serious issues that we would have to face. Leo was adamant that she wanted Ali to pay rent if she wanted to stay in his house. But he knew that it would ultimately fall on me to make those payments. He is now in a dilemma because he wants to charge Ali rent but doesn't want the money to come from me. I did offer him something for rent since he is losing money on the house, but he just wouldn't take it from me. I asked him if he wanted me to move out and he said he didn't. It's just that he wasn't comfortable housing Ali for free. That's where we are at now. I'm just as confused as Leo is. You can say that I am in a big dilemma. Frankly speaking, I get it where Leo's coming from. I don't know what to do now. Ali is still acting all cold towards me and hasn't spoken a word to me. I know we should talk, but I don't know what we should do about this situation. Maybe you guys can offer some advice on this. Update 2. I had my talk with my wife. It didn't go well at all. When I had sat Ali down to talk, I knew that the conversation would turn heated. But I was desperately hoping that she would at least understand a little, maybe accept her mistake this time. Oh boy, I was wrong. I don't know how long Ali had planned to stay cold towards me, but I do know that she wouldn't have initiated a conversation if I hadn't. The moment we sat down to talk, she irritably asked me if the two of us were ready to apologize to her. I was a little irritated too and asked her what she was talking about. Then she told me that she expected an apology from both me and my son. Yeah, she wanted Leo to apologize to her because apparently he had disrespected her by asking her to pay rent. I told her that none of us would apologize because we did nothing wrong. A big fight later, it became clear to me that Ali wouldn't accept her mistakes. She turned everything on me and called me a bad husband, among many other things. Then she started to say some vile things about my son that are totally unwarranted. She also had the audacity to say that Leo was a murderer because my late wife died because of him. At that point, I was done. I don't think I had ever been so angry in my life. I have to thank God that Leo wasn't around to hear what Ali said. She said it as a matter of fact. She even used that example to tell me that we need to cut off Leo before he destroys my second marriage too. After all this, I had to make the decision to leave my wife. I don't think this marriage is going to work out anymore. I cannot get over the way she went against me and then tried to harass my son. I also don't appreciate all the name-calling and derogatory terms that she called my son. Leo did nothing to incite her or make her say those nasty things. I never knew Ali could be so evil and disrespectful. I have seen it all now. I don't think I can stay with her anymore. Marrying her was wrong in the first place. I was sure that Ali would make me happy again, but she has only turned my life into hell. The worst thing is that she has also damaged my relationship with my son and my late wife's parents. I feel like she's been trying to isolate me and have me all to herself. She was making all these ridiculous demands of Leo to drive him away. She had already created distance between me and my ex-in-laws by scheming and plotting. She would have made Leo cut me off too. I just can't have her do that. I'm done. She can go find a childless man and make him her obsession. I'm not playing her stupid game anymore. I will be filing for divorce and cutting off all ties with her. Thank God I got snipped and didn't end up having kids with her. God knows what would have happened then. I can't wrap my head around the fact that she called my son a murderer. Leo is still unable to get over his mother's death, and I know how hard things have been for him all these years. Yes, he still blames himself sometimes, but it is getting better. Ali is an absolutely evil woman. She would have sent Leo back to the hospital if he had heard what she said. I have been a complete idiot having this vile woman around my son. I wish I could go back and change the past, but I can't. What I can do is protect my son and my relationship with him going forward. Ali doesn't know that I'll be leaving her son. I had just stood up and walked out after her rant. I didn't trust myself around her anymore. Ali, of course, still sees nothing wrong with her behavior. I'm already looking up lawyers and contacting friends to let them know about what's going on. I have been embarrassed to talk to them about all this, but I need all the help I can get right now. Besides, there's always a possibility that Ali will lose her mind and create fake stories to make me look like the bad guy. So, I've been reaching out to friends and family members to tell them what's going on. So far, everyone seems to be on my side. I haven't informed anyone on Ali's side yet because I don't want anyone to tip her off. Plus, I am kind of sure that they will take her side, so there's no point in talking to them. Nothing is going to change my mind anyway. I have to thank you guys for helping me see just how crazy and entitled my wife has been acting. I will definitely keep you all updated because I know you guys will worry. Update 3. Hi guys, thank you so much for all your help. I had totally forgotten to thank you guys in my last post. All of you had left some lovely comments. I even appreciate the harsh ones that called me a bad dad because I didn't prioritize my son when I was considering marrying Ali. I will be honest here and say that my loneliness was killing me. I had to stay strong for Leo, and in a way, I didn't have time to address my own grief or overcome it in a healthy way. Maybe I was in a rush to find someone to fill that deep void that my wife left me. Ali had genuinely helped me a lot in the past. I was in a dark place and thought that no one could save me. Ali came into my life and sort of gave me the incentive to work on being happy again. I won't lie and say that we only had bad memories. I genuinely thought that I would be happy with her. I had no idea that she would turn out to be so nasty towards my child. You guys are right. I should have seen how my relationship with Ali was affecting Leo. When Ali had moved in, we were a mere few months away from marriage. I knew that Ali and Leo would have trouble getting along, but I married her anyway. I was so desperate for happiness that I was willing to sacrifice the happiness of my own child for it. I'm never going to forgive myself for that. I can't put everything here, so you guys will never know just how much Leo had put up with Ali for my sake. This shouldn't have happened. I should have been the one to compromise for the sake of my child's well-being. I am super lucky that my son doesn't hold any grudges towards me, but that doesn't make it easy for me to forgive myself. Anyway, I think you guys would be happy to know that I already informed Ali that our marriage has hit a dead end. Some of you had given me the idea of getting the marriage annulled. I talked to a good lawyer, and he told me that it can be done since we haven't been married for a full year. So that's what we're going for. We do have grounds for annulment, which I won't get into here, but yeah, my lawyer will be pushing for one. After hearing all this, I saw no point in hiding the truth from Ali anymore. I told her that an annulment was going to happen and she can't change my mind. You will know that we had a big fight after that. I have been accused of choosing my son over her. I've been told that I am not a real man since I didn't protect my wife against another man. That one was both weird and creepy. I was also told that I would never find someone better than her, and no one would put up with my murderer son. Yeah, she went there again. At that point, I had to tell her to leave the house. She had no grounds to stay, since she was not formally on the lease or anything. Ali tried to create trouble again, but I threatened to call the cops on her. Right now, Ali and her family are sending me nasty messages, calling me and Leo all kinds of names. I made Leo block everyone on his phone because I didn't want him to see the vile texts that they're trying to send him. I also set up an emergency appointment for both me and Leo. Leo will be spiraling again if he finds out what Ali and her family are saying about him. As for me, I had never seen a therapist after my late wife's death. That was entirely my fault. I was super busy trying to keep Leo sane, and most of my time and energy went to him. Seeing him in such a bad state sent me into denial about my own grief. I had sort of pushed everything aside and minimized my grief because I wasn't as bad as Leo. That was a big mistake on my part. Some of you have already pointed out that I have a problem. I took your words to heart and booked an appointment with a therapist. The road ahead will be bad, but I am bracing myself for it. Hopefully me and my son will be okay. Update 4. Hi, I really don't know if you guys wanted an update or not, but I figured that I could give you one. I had received a lot of mixed comments on my last post, so I didn't know how to respond to them. So I have to say sorry for not replying to your comments. I was sure that I would be deleting my entire post after the last update, but for some reason I didn't do it. Then I got busy with the annulment and everything that happened, so it kind of slipped from my mind. I logged back in last night for some other stuff when I remembered that the post was still up here. Now, I will probably delete this entire post, but I will like to give you a final update before I do it. Again, I don't know how many of you would care, but it would at least be like a closure for me. So, as you know, I was trying to get my marriage annulled with Ali. It worked, and she is no longer in my life. Some of your comments had really scared me, and I had started to think that maybe Ali would escalate her behavior and maybe end up going after Leo. Thankfully, that didn't happen. Interestingly, Ali flipped her behavior in a matter of 2 weeks. Suddenly, all the harassment stopped, and even her family members stopped contacting us. Ali randomly showed up at the house, once crying and begging for another chance. She kept saying that she had a moment of clarity and finally understood that she had made a huge mistake. She started to apologize and begged us to go to family and marital counseling, and she even wanted to go to individual counseling because she couldn't believe she could harbor so many bad feelings towards an 18-year-old. She did look very pathetic and sad, but it did nothing to sway me. Actually, I have a theory about why she was back on my doorstep out of the blue. I knew she had hired a lawyer a few days before, and she was probably informed that in case of an annulment, she wouldn't be getting spousal support. She had happily left her job after marrying me and had been depending on me financially. It was another thing she did without discussing it with me. One day she randomly came home and informed me that she had quit her job. When I had asked her about it, she told me that the job was killing her. So she couldn't do it anymore. I was a little mad because she didn't even tell me about it. I didn't yell or anything. I just stated that I was disappointed she didn't discuss such a big step with me. Well, she cried and said that I was being unsupportive and that I was a bad husband. I could never win with this woman. Now that she's out of my life, I wonder what I ever saw in her. Most of you were right, I guess. I was struggling and needed someone to fill the gap my late wife left. Allie took that chance and ran with it. We were both wrong for each other, I guess. I really would have tried to mend things with her if she hadn't been so vile towards my son. I will never forget the things she said about Leo. That is one major reason why I refused Allie's request for reconciliation. I simply cannot be with someone who thinks so lowly of my own son. Yes, I'm still lonely and struggling, but I will get over it even without Allie's help. I simply can't jeopardize my relationship with Leo again. So I went ahead with the annulment and dropped Allie completely. Frankly speaking, I don't know what she's up to now. Last I had heard, she had moved in with her sister, who isn't happy to have her at her home. She had called to cry about how her sister is forcing her to get a job. After that day, I blocked Allie everywhere. The annulment actually went smoothly, probably because Allie understood that she couldn't fight me or convince me to stay. I say good riddance to that. I have to say that ending the marriage was a good decision. My relationship with Leo is back on the mend, and I am also talking to my late wife's parents again. They had been super mad at me for marrying someone who treated Leo badly. Now that I've gotten rid of Allie, they are letting me back in. However, I can tell that they're still wary. Leo's bringing a bridge between us right now. You guys will be happy to know that Leo is in a great college right now. His mental health took a dive when Allie and her family were harassing him, but his therapists and even his friends helped him to get out of it. He graduated with excellent grades and is going to college nearby. All in all, things are going back to normal. I have learned my lesson and will be single for a very long time now. So, that's how life is right now. My days are slow and I don't have much to do after work, but I am trying to pick up hobbies to keep myself busy. I know now that I can be happy on my own. I just need some time to accept it. That's all I had to say. This update has gotten long already. I hope everyone who wanted an update gets to read about it before I delete this post. You guys have been really helpful, and I want to thank you for that one last time. Stay tuned for more stories from Our Girl Relationships.